It's time for Cheapskate University with Clark Howard at clark.com. And later you'll know why you need to know clarkdeals.com. Good morning, Clark.
Good morning.
I'm very worried about my investments. Do you have any suggestions for how to not worry about them?
You know, it's funny because we've had an over 500% increase in the overall value of the stock market over the last 12 years. And instead of people dropping the confetti and filling up the balloons and just being all excited, the higher it goes, the more people freak out. I have never experienced people who are as worried as they are right now about the fact that they think the stock market is going to collapse and go to nothing. You're one of those people, huh?
Well, look, I mean, is this possibly because the more you've gained, the more you have to lose? And so you're going to worry. Even if I only had $5 in an investment account, I wouldn't be worried.
Sure.
But thanks to the increase in the stock market, now there's more at stake.
Yeah, and what will happen is at some point we will have a stock market fall. We may have, a correction, which is where it falls 10%, bear market where it falls more than 20. And it's impossible to predict when that's going to happen or how low it will go. The reality is, let's go back to the Great Recession, 2007. The market fell apart and went to a fraction of its value by 2009. And people along that ride down the roller coaster sold out and said, I'm not going to go back in until it's safe. Well, the market bottomed out in 2009, and they missed so much of the enormous ride back up because they were still freaked out about what happened starting in 2007. And the reality is you have to decide on investing based on how old you are, when you're going to need the money. And so if I'm under 45 years old, which, gosh, that was a long time ago for me, but if I was under 45 years old, who cares if the market tanks now? I mean, most people that are younger, the money's going in through a 401k or going into an IRA, and you're putting money in on a regular schedule, maybe monthly or quarterly. You're popping that money in. And so you're doing what's called dollar cost averaging in the market. And so you've been benefiting from the ride up. But the strange thing, the younger you are, a decline in the market ultimately makes you more money down the road, because every time you're buying whatever you're buying in 401k or IRA, you're getting more shares for the same dollars. The economy over time grows larger and larger, and stock prices ultimately reflect that value. So the younger you are, the more it's not necessarily even bad news when the market declines. This really only matters if you're at retirement or close to retirement. And that's when, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, Clark, this is Laura. I wanted to ask you, when you say that people are freaking out, what do you mean by that? Does that mean that they're not spending, they're not investing, they're pulling back, they're putting their money under the mattress? What does that mean?
Yeah, people are putting huge amounts of money in cash equivalents, in savings accounts earning basically nothing, CDs which earn, if you're lucky, 0.5%. People are really risk averse right now with a lot of their money because they feel like they're tempting fate too much. If in a market that's gone up over 500% in 12 years, they keep putting money in. And again, the thing is if you're younger, you're missing long-term opportunity because you can't figure out, none of us can figure out when the market is going to next fall off a cliff and then when that recovery is going to be. So if you're older, yeah, it's really good, particularly in retirement, to have 3 to 5 years of living expenses available to you in a combination of like what you get from Social Security, if you have some pension, and then money in savings so that you can ride the rest of your money down in a market till it recovers. But if you're younger, you don't have to have all that money sitting in reserve. You can have, and you should continue to invest steady as you go in 401ks, IRAs, even regular investment accounts.
So is the approach to not worrying about the investments, Does that come from the investment strategies themselves that you should do, or is this more a matter of having the right attitude about investing?
Well, I love what you asked first because, see, I'm the dullest man alive. And if you don't know that, just spend some time with me. So I am really, really dull. I mean, you have trouble sleeping, just spend some time with me and you'll overcome your insomnia. I'm a dull guy. So I invest in a dull way as well. I love where I own wide parts of the market, like index funds, and I buy them and I hold them forever. For a lot of people in 401k, IRA, I love these target retirement funds where the mix of investments automatically changes for you as you get older. So you're spreading your risk really, really widely across potentially thousands of companies, because for every time there'll be something like people who bought Tesla early or bought Apple at the right moment, there are also people who buy something that goes in the toilet. When you focus a lot with the money you're really going to need to live on in individual stocks, you're playing more a game of horse racing than you are long-term investing. So be dull like me with the money you're going to need for the long term, and then you don't have to worry as much about the second thing, which is the anxiety that comes with the ups and downs of the market.
Clark, you're not dull. You probably have more money in your account than most of us, but you've got tips about how to stop worrying. I mean, like I need, a cheat sheet here. It's fine to say it. But those who are maybe, but how people who are near that retirement age, who are holding on and working through exhaustion, saying, well, I can't quit now because, I've got to hang on to what I have and keep building, because what if everything goes away before I think it's going to? How do you remove that? What are the tips to do that?
It's really hard for people that are normally anxious people to get past that fear. And so the way you do it is a rational exercise where you think about, well, how would I live if my investments fell this much? Would I still be okay? What money would I have to live on? How many years do I have till I'm going to retire? And, people who use a fee-only financial planner, what they do in a market decline as a fee-only planner, all they're doing with people is trying to deal with the emotional reaction they've had to a market decline and talk about the rational things like, think how many years it is till you're going to retire. Think how much money you have in different places. Think about what you have in your value of your home. Think about what you have in your savings account, what you have that'll come to you from Social Security, whatever. So that's what a financial planner does, is they do that. They're the rational person on the shoulder, while the irrational is in you saying, oh, the world's ending. It's going to be all over. And remember this, ultimately, the value of what you have in those investments you have is based on long-term economic growth. And we as a society may not grow economically as fast as we used to, but we're good. And a lot of what we own is based on faster growth outside the United States. So if we were in a time that we were dealing with economic activity getting smaller and smaller and smaller for decades to come, it would be a fool's errand to try to make money in the market. But we're not in that.
Clark, give us a couple of deals of the week.
All right, this one is crazy. Southwest has seen bookings fall off a cliff. So they're doing a deal right now that you have to register for by tomorrow. But if you take one round trip this fall by November 18th is the deadline to take the round trip, you get a companion pass for January and February next year, where you can take a friend with you anywhere you want to go that Southwest goes. That time period, the friend goes free. So I looked, you can fly out of the LA area airports for about 98 round trip to a bunch of places this fall. You can get on a plane, fly somewhere like the Bay Area. If you don't want to visit the Bay Area, just take the next flight back, spend your $98, and then you have a companion pass that you can use in January and February to bring along a friend for free. So you could go to Hawaii and you pay and the friend's free. You could go to the East Coast. You pay for your ticket, your friend's free. Whatever, wherever, it's unreal to be able to get this from one round trip ticket. Now, I've got all the rules for you on clarkdeals.com, or you can skip me, just go straight to southwest.com, and the rules are explained right at the top of the home screen.
All
Next
right.
deal.
Okay, we have 1 minute.
One more. Okay. Kids have gone back to school. You may have a young kid. You want them to have dial tone, but you don't want them to have a full phone life. So TracFone is selling a year of service for $60. That only gets you 1,200 minutes over that year, 1,200 texts, 3 gigs of data, but it would allow a lifeline, an emergency connection to your kid for effectively $5 a month. And there's a link you have to get to that $60 a year deal, and we've got that for you on Clark Deals.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. Next time we'll have time for more deals, but they're all up at clarkdeals.com right now.
And have a great day.
All right, Clark. There he goes. Clark Howard, clark.com, clarkdeals.com. Let's get a news update from Jennifer Jones-Lee. This is KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.